matter more to me than my own.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 7th Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. The film is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who has directed the last few Mission Impossible films, and it stars, of course, Tom Cruise. We have Hayley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, and Isaiah Morales. Right, this time round, Ethan and his team are chasing quite a unique enemy. It is an artificial intelligence, I suppose. It's like this, an artificial intelligence that was created and has kind of gone rogue, developed its own awareness. It's become self-aware sort of thing, and it has become so dangerous that it essentially needs to be stopped now. So Ethan and his team head off in order to try and figure out a way to stop this very, very dangerous new weapon. And they are out to try and attain two parts of one key. Nobody really seems to know what this key unlocks, but everybody seems to think that this key holds the answers to controlling this artificial intelligence, and the government that controls this artificial intelligence essentially will be the superpower in the world. Right, what are my thoughts on Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? Well, it's no surprise, guys, to hear me say that this film is fantastic. Supremely entertaining. I think Tom Cruise, at this point in his career now, just knows how to make these event films. He knows what audiences want. I think he recognises, that there's a lot of big budget movies coming out over these last few years that are very flashy and look great to a large degree, but there's no soul to them. And he's making these big budget flashy films, but giving us characters to care about and interesting stories for the most part, and spectacular set pieces and stunts. And you know, it's not rocket science. If you get the ingredients right, audiences are going to respond. Yes, and obviously an awful lot of money has been spent on this film. I'm not sure if they filmed this and the part 2 back to back. I'm not actually sure if they did that. But this, very much like Top Gun Maverick, was filmed. I think they started filming this when he was 57, and I think he's just turned 61, Tom Cruise. So this has been in the pipeline for a while, and again, he smartly kind of held it back for the right moment to release it, because he wants it to be successful. He's obviously very passionate about cinema and giving people event films to go to the cinema to enjoy. And he's done it again. He just has absolutely done it again. He's nailed it with this film. You could argue that there are some moments in this film that feel like it's treading similar ground to some of the other films, but this is the 7th film. That's inevitable at this point, I think. I think from my perspective, there's going to always be levels of, comparisons to the other films in the franchises. You can say the same thing about the Fast and the Furious films, or any franchise that has gone on for any length of time. They are going to feel like they are familiar to the others at some point. But what I think Tom Cruise and everybody involved in the production of this film and the other films managed to do is make it feel fresh too. Make the action feel like it matters. And what I really like about these Mission Impossible films is it never really makes Ethan out to be like this, Superman, unstoppable force or anything like that. He always feels like he's playing catch up. He always feels vulnerable. He always feels like the stakes are really, really high and that they just cannot fail this mission, and everybody is completely on board with that. By this point now, we are totally invested in him and his team, and by that I mean Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, and Rebecca Ferguson, who also returns here. There is a fairly major death of one of the characters in this film that I'm obviously not going to spoil. and a new addition, which is Hayley Atwell, who seamlessly, is added into this world of Mission Impossible and feels like she's been there for 3 or 4 films. I thought she slotted in absolutely beautifully into this film. And they gave us a mysterious new villain from Ethan's past that you could argue there's been no setup for this over like 7 films or 6 films before this, but it still manages to get the message across that this guy is incredibly dangerous and has got a real connection to Ethan. And I just think the villain that he plays in the film, and it is Isaiah Morales, is very compelling. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about the stunt in this film. The bike stunt. I mean, it's every Mission Impossible film. There's one stunt that tries to outdo the stunt from the last film, and apparently, according to Tom Cruise and everybody else involved, this is the biggest stunt they've ever done. And at this point, you kind of worry for Tom Cruise. You feel like, fingers crossed we don't, we're going to lose him on the screen to some crazy stunt at some point in the film. His commitment to doing his own stunts and doing all that kind of stuff is commendable and very, very impressive. And this film is fast-paced. The story is complex and simple enough to follow and understand. The action set pieces are beyond spectacular. The fight scenes are amazing. The spy stuff, I suppose you could say, is brilliantly done. And it looks stunning. I mean, the locations, the lighting, everything has been so meticulously planned and organised to make this film a joy to the eyes and ears while you're watching it. You could argue that it's over manufactured, but if a film is as enjoyable as this and to the quality of this, I'll take over manufactured any day of the week. They're not trying to pry in, messages. They're not trying to be woke. Tom Cruise just absolutely understands the audience and knows what we want to see. We don't want to see any of this political nonsense. We just want to be entertained. And Tom Cruise obviously knows how to do that. I think these last few Mission Impossible films, I mean, I mentioned this previously on the channel. I enjoy the first Mission Impossible film. I don't enjoy the second one. I'm not a big fan of the third one. Beyond that, I stopped watching the franchise for a few years, and then I caught up a couple of years ago on the channel and I reviewed like Ghost Protocol onwards. And they just got better and better and better. And he just keeps outdoing himself, Tom Cruise, in these movies. I can't give you a load of major faults here. All I can say really is if you're not a fan of Tom Cruise and you're not a fan of the Mission Impossible films, then don't bother, because you're not going to enjoy it, I'm sure. Everybody else, if you want a top quality, top notch action film that you'll come away from very, very happy, very, very entertained, and definitely wanting to see part 2, then you would definitely need to get to the cinema and check this one out, because I was really impressed with it. I thought it was, almost flawless, really. And I'm actually probably going to go back and watch it again. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.